कितने पैसे चाहिए?
पैसा नहीं, इज्जत। मोहल्ले के चिरकुट लौंडे हरा रहे मैं फैंटेसी स्पोर्ट्स में। आप एक्सपर्ट हो, सिखाओ।
सिखाऊंगा तो जाने दोगे?
फैंटेसी स्पोर्ट्स का
असली अखाड़ा।
इस गेम में वित्तीय जोखिम के तत्व हैं और इसकी लत लग सकती है। कृपया जिम्मेदारी से और अपने जोखिम पर खेलें।
Hello and welcome to the Outside View live powered by Fantasy Akhada for the India Tour of Sri Lanka 2022. The third T20I, we are done with the first innings. India have batted first and scored 138 at a loss of 5 wickets in their allotted 20 overs. Mohit Shah and Annesha Ghosh join me for the mid-match show as we break down India's innings before we also touch upon how Sri Lanka will go about this run chase. Welcome, experts.
Thank you so much.
Annesha, I'll bring you into the conversation first. What did you make of the approach of the Indian batting, especially after the fact that they were 3 wickets down for 50 odd, and then Harman and Jemmy, they kind of took the game a little deeper than a lot of us would have thought. And how did you make of their approach with the bat?
Well, this is a new pitch that India were batting on, and it didn't look like the new pitch did much help to them in terms of upping their scoring rate from what it has been in the series. They scored 138, the same target, the same score they got to today in the first T20I. Sri Lanka obviously managed to get 125 odd in the second, which was easily overhauled by India. And here it looked like it was difficult getting the ascendancy on the batter's way because there were some issues with regards to how the spinners especially tied the Indian batters all ends up. There was a patch after Sabdineni Meghna got out that India went without scoring a single boundary for 32 balls, and that was when the partnership, the 64-run partnership between Jemima Rodrigues and Harmanpreet Kaur had just started to blossom. They were getting into their grooves, and to Sri Lanka's dismay, they weren't able to, pull the plug on the singles that were being milked easily by the two batters. Jemima Rodrigues again showed great maturity in just giving the kind of support Harmanpreet needed at that point, because both for new batters on the crease, having lost Smriti Mandhana and Sabineni Meghna, who both scored runs apiece early. So that partnership really helped India get to 138 odd, which is going to be more than handy on this pitch because despite being a new surface, it doesn't quite have the pace which we thought going into the match that it might have. Run scoring wasn't easy, and the Sri Lankan batters are also going to find it extremely difficult to score, especially considering the form the Indian spinners like Deepti Sharma and Radha Yadav have been.
Before we move ahead, let's just look at the batting scorecard first. And India did lose Verma very early. It was right in the first over that she was dismissed. Then there was a bit of a partnership going on between Smriti and Meghna, but then they both got out in a short phase of time. Then there was that partnership between Rodrigues and Kaur, which actually lifted India. And just that last bit from Pooja Vastagar, the 13 runs from 6 deliveries, quite crucial towards the death over. She's kind of making a habit of getting those runs from time to time. Mohit, the pitch was a new one, obviously, that we were told it's a new pitch. But did you feel the ball was holding up a bit more than the Indians would have liked?
I think it was a typical Sri Lankan pitch where it was not easy to score runs or play shots on the up or use the pace and bounce on the pitch because simply there was none available. And I think the Sri Lankan bowlers also bowled really well. They slowed it up and they also tried and bowled a little outside the line of the off stump and also that and both Harman and Jemmy are very good on the sweep and targeting the leg side or hitting down the ground. So that's not easy to do when the bowlers bowl wide of the off stump. And even if you look at Shafali's dismissal and S. Meghna's dismissal, both of them were done in by the flight to balls that were fairly wide. But yeah, like you said, probably the ball was holding up a little bit because otherwise we've seen it in the past that these two, even when they don't get to the pitch of the ball, they have enough power to loft the ball over the fielders or drive it through the gap. But today that didn't happen because I think the ball was holding, and there was also a little bit of slow turn that was available. And I think somebody like Inoka Ranvira used it really well. And even Ama Kanchana, she doesn't have any pace, but I think she was the best bowler on show today with her variations and her immaculate line and length, both in the power play and later on when she came to bowl 1 over towards the end. And it's not easy to bowl so well when you are in and out of the team. She was not a part of the last team. Came back in today, was bowling the second over, so was in the action right away. So I think she bowled extremely well, and she was probably the one bowler who used the pitch very well.
Sri Lankan bowling has been impressive right through the series, and we've spoken about that in length. Let's just have a look at the scorecard. Once wickets for Kumari, Kanchana, Rangasinghe, Ranavira, all of them, especially Ranasinghe and Ranavira, both of them have been so impressive this series. Annesha, I'd like to ask you one specific question. What did you make of Chamari coming out and bowling the last in the death? I mean, little bit of shock. If she wanted to use herself, couldn't she have used herself in the middle overs, or was that a right call to make? Considering the fact that the two set Indian batters were there in the crease at that point.
Yeah, it took me by surprise as well. Chamari didn't quite bowl the way she would have wanted to. It cost her and her team a substantial number of runs, and especially knowing Pooja Vastrakar can use the long handle. She's one of the fearless batters in the Indian lineup, and she would have gone for gold no matter what point in the innings it would have been that Chamari brought herself on. And knowing this was the last over, it was a bit of a punt that didn't come off. Will it cost Sri Lanka dearly? It looks like it might, given runs are coming at a premium here on this pitch. So it wasn't the best of moves from the Sri Lanka captain, really, but it is what it is, and they have gotten themselves in a bit of a hole, I would say. And it looks like should the Indian spinners be able to even choke the Sri Lankan batters early on, even if they do not end up getting breakthroughs early on, I think Sri Lanka will find it, most difficult than they had found it all through this series in terms of run scoring. So that final over might come back to bite really dearly as far as Chamari, Atapudu and Sri Lanka are concerned.
Sri Lanka have struggled, to get big totals, and that was the talking point ahead of the series. They did struggle against Pakistan, and even in this series, we saw they haven't been able to, get to those 140s, 150s, 160s is far from there anyway. So what should be their approach, Mohit, today? Because we saw in the last game they decided sort of shut shop in the early overs and sort of build the opening stand and to take it to a point where they have a foundation laid. Could that be the solution today, or should they try and get those extra few runs in the beginning overs in the power play with Chamari and the other top order players?
Yeah, I think that top order batting is probably their strength. Like Katapattu and Vishmi Gunaratne both got runs in the last match, are probably their two most skilled batters in terms of technique. So I think one of them has to go hard in the power play while the other player has to bat through the innings. And I think like Vishmi probably will be the anchor and Chamari will go bang bang from the beginning. And when you're chasing 140, you don't have any choice. I think you have to take advantage of the power play, especially on a pitch which might slow down or which is getting slower as the match is progressing. So I think Sri Lanka need to get at least 40, 45 in the power play if they want to have a chance of chasing this total down.
Let's just take quick predictions, and I see that we have lost Annesha there on the call, but no worries. Mohit, just a quick prediction from your end. What do you expect Indian bowlers to do? Who do you expect to be the star of the show? And here we have Annesha back again. So, what are your predictions for the second innings, Mohit?
Yeah, I think like 135 is a very good total on this pitch. So I don't think Sri Lanka will get very close to it. So I think it will be a fairly comfortable win for India. And to answer your question about the bowlers, I think probably it's time for Renuka Singh Thakur to get a few wickets because she's bowled well through the series. Doesn't have the wickets to show for it, but she's bowled really well and has been very impressive with the new ball. So I think today we might see her take a couple of wickets in the power play and rock Sri Lanka early.
Annesha, a different name, or do you agree with Mohit?
I'm going to stick to Harmanpreet simply going by how she has performed with the bat and ball, and also her captaincy through the series. It looks like she's made the series her own. Wants to put her imprint all over the series, and yet again her display with the bat was phenomenal. So I'm going to stick to Harmanpreet Kaur, and 138 is going to be beyond Sri Lanka's reach yet again, as it was in the first T20I. And a clean sweep looks like inevitable for the hosts, unfortunately.
Sri Lanka have already out in the middle, and the run chase has already started. But we'll stay tuned to Women's Cricket Zone, and we'll be back with the post-match show once the innings is done and dusted. Thank you, everybody.
ये पक्का
अब सीख तो गए, अब तो जाने दो मुझे।
ठहर जाइए, कोई प्रॉब्लम हो गई तो कहाँ ढूंढेंगे आपको?
फैंटेसी अखाड़ा का 24/7 कस्टमर सर्विस है, आपकी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करवा देंगे।
कल जाने देंगे।
फैंटेसी स्पोर्ट्स का असली अखाड़ा।
इस गेम में वित्तीय जोखिम के तत्व हैं और इसकी लत लग सकती है। कृपया जिम्मेदारी से और अपने जोखिम पर खेलें।